Bam! Welcome to the Real Talk Sports Show. I'm your host, the Minister Jonathan Simmons, and we thank God for those of you who decided to join us here on our broadcast. We are broadcasting here from the right in the heart of our title sponsor, Allen Vigil Ford and Lincoln. For those of you who don't know, I'm actually a commercial account rep here, so you can see I got my shirt and tie on today because my moniker is the commercial truck guy in the shirt and tie. So again, we appreciate those of you locked in here to join us today. Keep it brief. This is our Saturday sports update. You know, we do it every Saturday, kind of give you a recap of what happened in high school football because we do the Friday Night Light broadcast. And also in terms of maybe a little quick preview of what's coming in the way of college football and, of course, pro football. So we're going to hit all of those for you. As far as Friday Night Lights, well, we actually did a double header. I shouldn't say double header. We went back to back. We had a game Thursday night, and then we had to come right back and do a game on Friday night. Now, I will say this. My Friday night game was one I did because I promised. And I find something out, folks. Sometimes you have to be careful what you promise. We promised after having the coach of Forest Park High School on a Tuesday night show, we said, the coach said, hey, we got a game coming up this week at Terra Stadium. We expect you to be at that game. Now, what I should have done was check the schedule carefully and say, hey, good news, we can't get you in this Friday, but maybe on another Friday. And the reason why was because we missed a thriller right down the road. North Clayton upsets the previously undefeated Stevenson Jaguars from out of DeKalb County, 42-41. An absolute shootout last night, and we had the opportunity to go to that game because we covered Stevenson. But like I said, I made a promise. So for those of you out here watching the broadcast, remember, watch what you promise. Just be careful. And again, I'm not trying to throw any shade necessarily on Forest Park. Their program with Coach Corey Johnson, they're on the come up. They're trying to rebuild. It's not like in days gone by when you had less schools in Clayton County. I think back in the 80s when Forest Park had dominant teams, and even through the 90s, I think there were only 4, maybe 5 schools in Clayton County. Now there are a total of 9. And so that has certainly shortened up or narrowed the pool of available players. And consequently, Forest Park has fallen on some hard times in recent years. Matter of fact, the last couple of years, they have struggled even to get more than 30 guys on a team. And for those of you who don't know, man, it's tough to field a high school football team when you only have about 30 guys. Because what that means is that most of your players are trying to play both ways. And back in the day they did that all the time, but nowadays with the size and speed of these athletes, it just is tough for these guys to go out here and play a 48-minute ball game. But nevertheless, Forest Park came out and they were playing against a team in Mays whose record was very similar to theirs. Forest Park record coming into the game was 1-2. Mays' record was coming in at 1-3. So I said, well, the record's about the same. It should be a fairly competitive game. That was wrong. The outcome of the game was a laugher. Mays rolled into Clayton County and shut out Forest Park 40-0 in a game that really was not close at all. Mays came out both guns blazing, passing attack. Really, they clicked on all cylinders of the game. Special team, passing, running, defense. Obviously, defense pitched a shutout. Forest Park just had no answer for Mays all night long as Mays rolled up a 40-0 victory to now bring their record to 2-3. And I believe that evens them up in the region as well. So that sets them up so that they might be able to make a run to the playoffs. Now, Mays has not been, well, they've been in the playoffs recently, but their biggest run was about 10 or 11 years ago. We actually had the chance to follow them. And it was really great stuff when we had a chance to follow them and check them out. So what it is, guys, we're going to take a little quick break. We'll be back with more of the Real Talk Sports Show. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back. Just keep it locked right here. I'm at work, so I have to answer the phone. So you guys hang tight. Hello? Yes, sir.
The day has arrived. It's time to let more people know about your business. You have the right marketing plan and the messaging in place. But do you have the right messenger? Good advertising and promotions need a professional sound so the message can be clearly understood. Don't leave your brand image to chance. Let our team of voiceover experts at CME lend you a hand. Give us a call at 678-304-8121 to find out how we can partner with you to give your business its voice. Fans, tune in for live high school football Fridays, 7:30 p.m. on RealTalkSports.net. Check out your favorite Metro Atlanta teams as they do battle on the gridiron. It's your high school game of the week, live streaming free Friday nights on RealTalkSports.net. For more sports coverage and great sports talk, catch the Real Talk Sports Show Tuesdays, 8 p.m. on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or Twitch. Brought to you by Allen Vigil Ford in Morrow, a business giving back to their community. Give them a call at 678-364-3979 or check them out online at AllenVigilFord.net.
You guys are back here with the Real Talk Sports Show, and you saw there a couple of advertisements for our title sponsor for high school football, Allen Vigil Ford. They're also my employer, and they allow me to go out on Friday nights and cover high school football, which we've been live streaming now for about, I guess, about 6 years now, 5 or 6 years we've been doing that, and trying to support the kids down here on the South Side. And for those of you just tuning in, I talked about the fact that we did a game, Forest Park versus Mays, which was not really the best of games. It's not their fault right now. They're trying to, rebuild that program. But we missed, like I said, again, a thriller, which was North Clayton versus Stevenson last night, right down here. And North Clayton upset Stevenson 42-41. A thrilling game. Like I said, again, we had hoped to be at that game. Unfortunately, we could not do it. We covered Stevenson in previous seasons as well as this season. But Stevenson now has one loss after rolling into Clayton County and unfortunately not being able to knock off North Clayton. I don't know if you can hear in the background here, but Atlanta Metro Sports had picked this up. They were on the scene as it was bedlam over at North Clayton as they knocked off previously unbeaten Stevenson at Southern Crescent. And there it is. There's the winning score right there. And they hold on. Actually, Stevenson was trying to score, and they held on to allow them to get a 42-41 victory. So North Clayton now right in the middle of a postseason opportunity. So, yeah, man, it's great stuff. Like I said, again, unfortunately, our game was not so much the case. Mays steamroller Forest Park 40-0. Their quarterback had an outstanding game. Their running back had an outstanding game. Their defense had an outstanding game. And special teams, their field goal kicker kicked not one but 2 field goals last night, including about a 45-yarder to make the final score 40-0. So big shout out to Mays as they're back on the winning track and looking to try to make some noise in the region. We're going to give a shout out to Forest Park. We hope and pray that their program can get up to snuff at some point. But right now they're struggling after losing 40-0. Now, I will tell you this. There was an exciting game that we did, which was the Thursday night game where Jonesboro took on one of the best teams in their region, that's Central Carrollton, not to be confused with Carrollton themselves, which has been a big-time program the last 3 or 4 years and have gotten to the state finals as well. I'm talking about Central Carroll. They just call them Central. They are undefeated we're undefeated going into this game against Jonesboro, 5-0 record. Jonesboro at 2-2, but their 2 losses came against 2 of the highest ranked teams in the state of Georgia and the state of Florida. They lost to Douglas County 24-0 in their second game of the season. Douglas County one of the top 10 teams in the state of Georgia. And then their next game, they hosted a team from out of Delray Beach, Florida, the Atlantic Eagles, who were ranked number 7 in Florida Class 7A. They lost that game in overtime, 26-20. They then came back and beat the brakes off of a normally pretty tough Banneker team, shutting them out 48-0, and then had to move their game because of the Forest Park game I just talked about, the Thursday night, to take on the undefeated Central Carroll team. And it was, as advertised, back and forth between these two teams, and it got down to the wire. 2 controversial calls late allowed Central Carroll to get down close enough to attempt about a 42-yard field goal, which their kicker boomed right through the uprights. He probably would have been good from over 50. And unfortunately, Jonesboro loses another tough one to a very, very good team, 24-21, game-winning field goal kick with just 16 seconds left to play. We did get a chance to catch up with the Central Carroll coach. Let me go here to my videotape, and let's take a listen to the Central Carroll coach as he talked about this big win over Jonesboro. Let's try that again. Here we go.
All right, guys, we have a guy who's extremely happy to hear an unbelievable game. 24-21, Central Carroll comes down and knocks off Jonesboro here on homecoming for Jonesboro. I have the coach for Central Carroll who's going to introduce himself to you right now. Go ahead, Coach.
Yeah, you want me to introduce myself? Oh, I'm sorry. Coach Brown, Central Carrollton, man. Proud of our kids, man. Had some football character that we had to kind of display tonight. We talk all the time about just win as many moments as possible. We knew the game would come down to about 4 to 5 plays, and we had to make those plays, and they certainly made those plays as well. But we talked all week about this game coming down to 3 things: straining to finish, right? No matter how bad or good it goes, like strain to finish. We talked about execution, all right? And then we talked about just straight up grit, having just straight grit. And our kids have shown that, man. I'm super proud of our guys for getting this hard win on the road.
Hey, Coach, undefeated 5-0. What does it mean to you to have this great start so far to start the season?
6-0, and 2-0 in the region. And look, anytime you play a region game on a Thursday, on the road, on a short week, that's tough, especially against a really good Jonesboro team. Those guys do a great job, and they're super talented, man. Like I told the other guy, I think the Cortez Redding kid is one of the more talented kids I've coached against. He's really good, and Coach Floyd does a great job. And so we knew it was going to be kind of a, nip and tuck kind of game. But like I said, man, just proud of our kids' football character down the stretch.
That's Coach Brown from Central Carroll. Coach, we appreciate you joining us on the program. God bless.
Thank you. Appreciate it. What's that?
Well, you heard that was Coach Brown from Central Carroll in Carroll County, right? Not too far away from Carrollton. And they now themselves are now making a stamp as being one of the better teams in the state. Now 6-0 and 1-0 in the region, actually 2-0 in the region. So big shout out to them as they came down and squeaked by Jonesboro 24-21. Like I mentioned, there was a situation where they had 2 controversial calls late that allowed Central Carroll to get into position to hit that game-winning field goal. There was an interception that was overturned where they said that Jonesboro defensive back did not have full possession of the ball. And then later on, there were offsetting penalties where there was a holding penalty on Central Carroll, and then they call a defensive holding on or pass interference on Jonesboro to offset the penalties. And so consequently, instead of a situation where Central Carroll would move back at least 10 yards, and who knows what would happen after that. Instead, they were allowed to keep their field position, and then they were able to set up for that game-winning field goal. So, again, shout out to both teams, outstanding game, and also shout out to Stevenson Jaguars and North Clayton Eagles, who had a scintillating game last night. Again, the Eagles pulled the upset over the previously undefeated Jaguars, 42-41, and again, it was played at Southern Crescent Stadium. So, just some great stuff going on right now. All the high schools around Georgia are involved in their regional games. So you're going to see some outstanding contests as we go down the stretch for the final month and a half as a season. And we hope this year to actually do some live stream playoff games. We're going to see what we can get in terms of our program. See right in the middle of the queue. Hit us up. You can give me a call on the cell 678-410-9833. Or you can shoot me an email, jsimmons@realtalksports.net. We got some very, very reasonable advertising rates. Literally, now check this out. It's unbelievable. We have a micro business package where you can be a part of the Real Talk Sports Show for as little as $50. That's right. For as little as $50, you can advertise on the Real Talk Sports Show. We get thousands of views on our high school broadcast. And because obviously we are doing teams from Metro Atlanta primarily, if you have a business like whether it be HVAC, whether it be restaurant, catering, whatever it may be, what better way to reach local clients than high school football? Because you and I know that football is big in the state of Georgia. Matter of fact, it's big throughout the Southeast. So again, hit me up. You see it right there, 678-410-9833. Or you can hit me up on the cell. You can email me, jsimmons@realtalksport.net. Now, one other thing I'm going to ask you, please subscribe. If you follow us on YouTube, as many of you do, we are just a few subscribers away from 2,000 subscribers. And we're now in a position where we might actually maybe be able to get a few pennies now from YouTube. We're getting into that area. We're going to be what they call a YouTube partner. And it's really all because of you. Because our show, we're not the biggest platform in the world. You got an OG. I'm the youngest guy around, but you guys have supported this show since I've been doing it. Now we're going past a decade. If I go back to my original incarnation. So again, I appreciate you guys, but especially you guys that joined us in the last couple of years, because that's when we've seen the biggest growth of the show. And really, I should say the biggest growth of our page. And really, most of it's really been about the last year and a half. Thankful for all of you guys who follow me. Thankful you guys that like me reposting the action clips on our shorts. Appreciate you. But last but not least, appreciate all of those of you who tune in, like you guys from Forest Park, the young lady that follows us, and she said, "Hey, you skipped the Forest Park game. Appreciate you." Appreciate some of the parents I've seen, like Mrs. Boyd, who stopped me in the Publix supermarket, say, "Excuse me, sir, aren't you the guy that does the high school football?" I said, "Yeah, that'd be me." And so I just appreciate that feedback, because a lot of times, man, it's tough. I leave work here at Allen Vigil on Friday and then set up all of our camera equipment and microphones and so forth. And basically on my feet for about 3.5 hours, and then go down after the game to do interviews with the winning coach and sometimes the winning players as well as star players of the game. So it's really your feedback telling me, "Hey, I appreciate you shouting out my son. I appreciate you supporting our school." That's going to keep me going. But we need help. So if you, like I said, want to be a part of this program, sponsoring it, partnering with us, we'd appreciate it. Because what I do is I have a couple of interns and a cameraman that work with me, so I always give them a stipend for coming out. Also, this year, we're looking to put together for the first time some awards for Player of the Month, Coach of the Month, and then hopefully Coach of the Year and Player of the Year at the end of the year. And we can't do that without you. So again, hit me up, 678-410-9833. But more importantly, if you're following us on YouTube, ding, 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 subscribe. Like I said, we're just a few people away from 2,000 subscribers, and you could be a part of making us get over the hump. So if you could, please, man, please, sir, go ahead and do that. All right, so let's go ahead and shift over to college, because we're about ready to wrap it up, because we do this really briefly on Saturdays. But before we do that, we're going to take another little break. You're watching the Saturday Sports Update of the Real Talk Sports Show. I'm your guy, Mr. Jonathan Simmons, and keep it locked right here. We'll be back with more sports talk, a little college football, and a little bit about those doggone Falcons. I'm just saying. All right, hang tight. We'll be right back.
Looking for a vehicle? Come to Allen Vigil Ford Lincoln in Morrow, Georgia. We're a family-owned dealership that's been serving the Atlanta area for over 40 years, offering an unbeatable selection of new Fords, Lincolns, and pre-owned vehicles. Enjoy our exceptional customer service and great financing options tailored just for you. Visit us at 6790 Mount Zion Boulevard in Morrow, Georgia, located just 20 minutes from downtown Atlanta. Call us at 678-364-3979 or visit online at allenvigilford.net.
Congratulations, Amici, on your new F-250 that you got from us. How was your experience here at Allen Vigil Ford?
Thank you so much, Jonathan, man. I appreciate everything you did for me, man. This is awesome right here. And you did, your service is impeccable, man. I really appreciate everything you did for me.
That could be you. You can get some great service from me as well. Remember, you can contact me here at Allen Vigil Ford Lincoln, 6790 Mount Zion Boulevard in the city of Morrow, Georgia. You call me directly here in the office, 678-364-3979, or you can hit me up on the cell, 678-410-9833, or shoot me an email. Jonathan, that email's too long. Go on our website, check us out. 24/7 shopping available at AlanVigilFord.net. Okay, so in college football, I told you guys the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets on a roll. Jackets 5-0 heading into their game here against Wake Forest today. The Jackets have looked outstanding. And, of course, the biggest game that they've had so far is actually two big games. They start off the season rolling up to Colorado, knocking off Coach Prime's Buffaloes to start the season. But then the big one was when they knocked off Clemson here at home. Now, Clemson apparently is not the same team they have been in years past because they then went on and lost to Syracuse. But don't sleep on Syracuse or Georgia Tech. Syracuse is a very good team, with a bowl team last year. Georgia Tech, a bowl team last year. And for those of you who are just watching our program, I predicted that the Jackets would be a contender to appear in the college football playoff for the very first time. And the reason why I said that is because of a guy who I think, if he continues to play at this level, will be a Heisman Trophy candidate. That's right, I said it. Georgia Tech will have a Heisman Trophy candidate for the first time in years. I'm talking about Haynes King, their quarterback, has been outstanding for Georgia Tech this year. He is a one-man wrecking crew, and he literally, in the Clemson game, and actually in most of their wins, except a couple of losses they've had, he has really taken this team on his back and carried them. And like you mentioned, in the Clemson game, I believe he had 300 yards of total offense. And he's been a stud, an absolute stud. And he has literally taken this Georgia Tech team on his back in several of these games and allowed them to win these big games. So keep your eye out on Haynes King, the quarterback. I think today, against a team that Georgia Tech is favored, against Wake Forest, the hope is the Jackets will get out to an early lead and then allow Haynes King to get some rest. Like I said, again, he carries the ball a lot. You watched him against the Buffaloes, 300 yards from Colorado in that first game, 300 yards of total offense, 4 total touchdowns in terms of passing and running. And in the game against Clemson, outstanding game against them as well. So what I'm telling you, people, is that Georgia Tech is a team that has a shot. They're ranked number 16 with a bullet. And for the first time that I can remember, actually are ranked against another team who will be rolling into Georgia today while Tech is on the road. The Georgia Bulldogs will be hosting their arch rival nemesis, the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now, it's not the Alabama Crimson Tide that we're accustomed to, with Coach Nick Saban prowling the sidelines and 4 deep sometimes in 5-star prospects. A little bit different. This Alabama team was beaten by Florida State to open up the season. They have looked a little lackluster since the departure of Coach Saban, and many people are wondering how much longer the former head coach of Washington, Coach DeBoer, will be able to keep his job as Alabama, even though they're ranked in the top 20. We're used to having the Crimson Tide ranked in the top 5. Then they roll into Athens today, and Kirby will be ready. Kirby has not lost a lot of games since he's been a head coach, but almost a third of his losses, 7 out of, I think, 19 losses total, have come at the hands of the Alabama Crimson Tide. So with the Tide coming up to Athens, I think it's going to be lit at Stanford Stadium, 90,000 strong. And I think Alabama is going to get a spanking from the Georgia Bulldogs, a team who's in the top 5 and a team that very quietly still remains a contender for the college football championship. So both Georgia teams have a chance to enhance their presence in the college football playoff. Georgia Tech, it's a game for them. They cannot, I'm saying again, they cannot lose this game against Wake Forest. So all their good work, the wins against Colorado, the wins against Clemson, will be undone. But if they win 6-0 and look for them to maybe, possibly, depending on how they win this game, squeeze into the top 10, or at least into the top 12, which means that the playoffs started tomorrow, they would be in. And meanwhile, for Georgia, look for them again to have a great performance against Alabama as they continue to move to try to recapture the college football crown that they won back-to-back just a few years ago. So that's my take on the two teams here. Now, as we wrap it up, last but not least, the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons shellacked in one of the worst beatings that this team has taken in several years. The Falcons went up to North Carolina to take on a very pedestrian and mediocre Carolina Panthers, who had not won a game going into that ball game. Falcons coming off of a defensively dominant 22-6 win, where they went up to Minnesota and had 6 sacks on rookie J.J. McCarthy. They looked like everything was in place. Their playmakers like Billy Bowman and people of that like, the new youngsters on defense, all played extremely well. James Pierce Jr., all these guys that they just had drafted, Xavier Watts, they all were impact players, and you were thinking, oh, here we go. Because you were thinking this Falcon team is on its way. It rebounded from a very, very tough loss against Tampa Bay, who apparently, once again, a Super Bowl contender. So you're thinking, okay, yeah, they kind of could have won the game against Tampa Bay. They handled Minnesota easily. Man, we're going to roll into the Panthers and give them some payback from that dumb loss we had last year to end the season. But no, the Falcons come out and implode on all aspects of the game. Michael Penix played his worst game as a Falcon at several points. Many people watching the game said he looked completely lost and clueless. The Falcons had difficulty getting the play in due to some mishaps electronically and due to some fumbling from the coaches. It was so bad that wide receiver coach Ike Hilliard became the sacrificial lamb that got fired after the end of that week. Look, man, this is real simple. This Falcons team really is a team that continues to underperform. They've had multiple years where they've had draft picks in the top 10 in the NFL. They have Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, and, of course, Michael Penix. All 4 of those guys are drafted in the top 10. When you have 4 consecutive years of drafting top 10 players in the NFL, you should be able to, in that time span, make a serious run for the playoffs. And on top of that, remember a couple of years before, they drafted 2 linemen, which have been the anchors of this team. I'm talking about Caleb McGarry, who fortunately is out. I can't think of the other gentleman's name, and Chris Lindstrom, who many people feel is, if not the best, one of the top 3 linemen in the NFL. You got Jesse Bates, one of the top free agent signings. You're thinking this team should be poised for a playoff run. But instead, they go up to Carolina and stink out the joint, losing 30-0. Special teams, horrible. Defense, of course, Carolina played on a short field, but still the defense showed us nothing after having 6 sacks last week. I think they only had 1 sack against Bryce Young. They let him escape on a couple of times to make some big plays to keep drives alive. They couldn't seem to stop the run. They just couldn't do anything. And meanwhile, on offense, they forgot about the fact that they have a guy in Bijan Robinson that many people think is one of the best offensive players in the league. He only touched the ball 14 carries, had 73 yards. That's 6 yards a carry over that. Why he didn't get the ball more, I don't know. And then had, I believe, 4 receptions for about 30 yards. It's real simple, guys. This was a team that did the week before rushed for over 200 yards. I say it every single week. The Falcons have 2 of the better running backs in the NFL. They had 2 guys in back-to-back seasons that rushed for 1,000 yards. And Tyler Algiers, who our local guy here Dave Archer refers to him as a bowling ball with blades. And then you have Bijan Robinson, who is probably one of the slickest, best cutting running backs in the NFL. Hey, man, between those 2 guys, they're going to get somewhere around 30 to 35 touches. I'm just saying. Now, people say, oh, brother, how many offensive plays are you going to run? I don't care. You have a young quarterback, and you have to use, to me, the same procedure that you use when Matt Ryan was a young quarterback, which is you want to give him the ball, you want to give the running attack the ball, and then let the rookie be comfortable with play action plays, throwing to a big tight end, a.k.a. Kyle Pitts, just like Matt Ryan had. Now, I know you can't compare Kyle Pitts to Tony Gonzalez, but it was the same thing at the safety valve. And although Drake London is no Julio Jones, you still got a guy that's a receiver that's good for every bit of about 12 to 1,500 yards if he's completely healthy. And you know what I'm going to say before I close? The Falcons and their OC need to get out of that daggone pistol. The Falcons run a pistol more than any other team in the league. I don't care what these guys, the spin doctors come on 92.9 talking about how you can run well the pistol, especially the Falcons run these stretch handoffs, all that kind of stuff. That's a bunch of BS. The Falcons need to get out of that pistol all the time. They need to start running more plays with Penix under center or more traditional shotgun. And they need to open up a offense that's able to use the play action fake to its benefit, because you have an outstanding running attack. And how does play action work best? When you have a good running attack. And how's the running attack continue to make moves is when you can hurt teams on the play action fake. This is not brain surgery. It's just not. It's not. All right, guys, we got to get out of here. I can't believe it's time to go. All right, we thank you so much for joining us here on the Real Talk Sports Show. Appreciate all those of you who continue to follow us here on social media. Before I get off the air, I really have to say this. I am a minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ. So one of the things I want to just make sure, even though it's a sports broadcast, I want to make sure that you have your soul right. I'm all about being in physical shape, all about having good mental health, but how's your soul? I said, brother, what are you talking about? What I'm saying about this is we're not here permanently. You see all the crazy stuff going on in this world. You see all the nefarious things going on, people being killed, assassinations, all this stuff by government. Don't get me wrong, I'm happy to be here in the U.S., but we have people behind the scenes that are very evil people. And at any time, I know it seems crazy, but this world can end. And I don't know about you, but wouldn't you want to be in a position where, when you leave here, you go to heaven and don't end up in another bad place? Well, here's how you do it. Number one, you repent of your sins, believe that Yeshua HaMashiach, which is the government name for Jesus Christ, came here fully man, fully God, and died for your sins, but more importantly, rose from the dead. If you believe in that and repent of your sins, two great things will happen to you. Number one, you become a citizen of the kingdom of heaven. And number two, you become an adopted child of God with all the rights therein. That means you now can go to God like a heavenly parent, ask him for what you need or desire, and according to his will, he'll give it to you. Not going to give you anything that's bad for you. And then more importantly, when you die, because we all have to do that, not to be morbid, but we do, you go to a happy place called heaven where there's none of the following. No pain, no pandemic, no bad people anywhere. You never get old, you never cry, you never die. And more importantly, now you get to see God and Jesus Christ and all the people of love face to face. Now, how cool is that? So you have those questions for God, you just ask him. And he's there. And it's nothing but happy people. It's beautiful. Streets adorned with, the buildings adorned with beautiful jewels beyond your imagination. Matter of fact, the streets paved with a gold that's so pure, it's translucent. You can see through it. And meanwhile, you avoid that nasty place called hell. All the things I just mentioned won't be in hell. And people talking about hell on earth. Nah, man, none of us experienced this terrible place where it's fiery. You have a body that's able to endure unlimited suffering, which you're going to have. It's painful, it's dreary. Think about this. You're with the devil, all his demons, and all the worst people ever to live on earth. Whew. I don't know about you, but I like option number one instead of option number two. All right, guys, so the next time we get back together again, we simply say as we do each week, God bless you and have a wonderful rest of the day or evening, whichever may apply. So long and take care. See you.